Let us start today's current affairs. India bombs Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Pakistan's Balakot. India bombs Jaish-e-Mohammed camp in Pakistan's Balakot. Indian government declared that it is a non-military preemptive strike. Indian government have not called it as surgical strike, but Indian government have declared it as non-military preemptive strike. What do you mean by preemptive strike? Preemptive strike means striking on its own. Striking on its own without being any, there is no strike. India striking. Non-military preemptive strike. The strike was made by 12 Mirage 2000 aircrafts and 5 one-ton payloads were unleashed. 5 one-ton payloads. It is assumed that around 350 Jaish-e-Mohammed personnel have died. Around 350 in the attack. And now Pakistan is telling Pakistan's defense minister that even Pakistan defense forces are ready, but it was too early. It was dark, so for that reason they have not retaliated. So Pakistan also is warning India, but we have the duty to protect our country. So country first. It's a non-military preemptive operation, and Prime Minister told nation is in the safe hands. And along with the 12 Mirage 2000 aircrafts, we have Falcon aircraft, which we have purchased from Israel, and indigenously Netra surveillance, indigenous. So all these things we have to remember. All these things are important. Israel, Falcon and indigenous Netra early warning aircraft. Indigenous Netra early warning aircraft. So coming back, the next important topic is in today's editorial page. The editorial is on this attack. It's good. As you all know, the attack was made crossing LOC line of control and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. This is called Pushing Borders editorial. In today's Hindu paper you have Pushing Borders. Next important topic today. Varun Gandhi wrote an article, Smart Farming in a Warm World. This article is related to effects of global warming on agriculture. He started with Bundelkhand region. Earlier there was good rainfall, now rainfall is very bad. And he also spoke about why don't you develop drought resistant crops, and why don't you support farmers, and why don't you develop an agriculture which is resilient towards environment. And he has given many suggestions, but for civil services in PU's perspective, there is a point here, Global Climate Risk Index. This Global Climate Risk Index, as Varun Gandhi mentioned, India's rank is 14th. 14th means it was worstly affected. India's rank was 14th. The question was not India's rank, but who will give Global Climate Risk Index? Anyone? It's an international NGO, German Watch. Global Climate Risk Index is given by international NGO, German Watch. This might be a probable prelims question. Okay, and this answer, smart farming in the warm world, this topic might come in mains. In mains they will ask, what is sustainable agriculture? In the wake of global warming effects on rainfall and changing climate conditions, how do you sustain agriculture in a long run? Because food is very important. Particularly India is still an agrarian economy and we have to protect our agriculture. So dry land research, drought resistant crops, good investments in agriculture and irrigation technologies, all these things are needed to stop crop failing due to environmental effects. So you can prepare mains answer also on this. So what we need is investment and policy reform. Investment and policy reform. Next important article from prelims perspective and mains perspective, particularly from prelims perspective, Chagos Islands. CHAGOS. Chagos Islands. Indian Ocean region islands are in news all the time in the recent past. International Court of Justice told that UK has to return the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. United Kingdom has to return Chagos Islands to Mauritius. There was a background for this. In the world, decolonization process started. Decolonization process means giving independence to colonies. In that process in Mauritius, in 1963, Britain decolonized Mauritius. Earlier, like India, Mauritius was a colony of Britain. While decolonizing Mauritius, the decolonization was made under an agreement that Mauritius should not claim the sovereignty over Chagos Islands. Mauritius should not claim the sovereignty over Chagos Islands. But there was an issue now based on Chagos Islands, and issue went up to ICJ, and ICJ told that Britain has to give Chagos Islands to Mauritius. This was the thing. So in prelims perspective, the question is location of Chagos Islands, location of Chagos Islands, or in prelims perspective they may ask you location of various Indian Ocean islands. They may ask you to write it in order, to locate it in order. For example, Assumption Islands in Seychelles. Assumption, even those are important because Assumption Islands, India wanted to construct a military base, but Assumption Islands were not given by the Seychelles Parliament. Seychelles Parliament told we cannot give this to India to construct India's military base. So they may ask you to locate Assumption Islands, Chagos Islands, Madagascar Island, and even Maldives. Even they may ask you up to Sri Lanka. So they may ask you to locate the islands. You have to be well versed with Indian Ocean islands and Bay of Bengal islands. This is the thing you have to do by tomorrow. Okay. Next topic in the news is the new order in West Asia. The new order in West Asia. In 2011, in the West Asia and Middle East, there was a big revolution called Arab Spring. Few years back, 3-4 years back, a prelims question has come. Arab Spring started in which country? Tunisia. Arab Spring was started in Tunisia. Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, in almost all these countries, Arab Spring started. And we thought that after Arab Spring, there will be fundamental changes in the political setups in the Middle East. But unfortunately, there were changes but not fundamental changes. There were changes but not fundamental changes. Some dictators have gone, new dictators have come. Some dictators have gone, new dictators have come. For example, Saddam Hussein. He was a man who made war with Iran and who also made war with Kuwait. In the same way, we have Gaddafi, Libya, very tough dictator. Hosni Mubarak, Egypt, another dictator. So they all are, now they are not in power, but still we have new dictators emerging in the Middle East. Now the question is, Middle East have no separate role, either pro-India group or pro-America group or anti-America group. Either pro-America group or anti-America group. Now Qatar is trying to assert Qatar is getting alienated, and Qatar is going in favor of Iran. Sometimes it is getting help from Russia also. It's getting help from Russia also. So in the new alliances, we have to wait and see what are the new games in the Middle East. But in the Middle East you can observe, particularly in the West Asian countries you can observe, They are single commodity dependent countries. Single commodity dependent countries. What do you mean by single commodity dependent country? A country would depend on single commodity, and there are some conflict zones. They always have seen a conflict in most of the countries, Syria, Israel, most of the Middle East countries we are observing that. So what we need is stability. To bring stability in the Middle East, we need to have strong, proactive and democratic governments which brings new setups through good ideology rather than dictatorial regimes. They are theocratic states and most of them have strong ideological base. Unless this is reshuffled with democracy, we cannot expect peace in the Middle East. Unless we make something out of it, we cannot expect. And as you all know, Prime Minister Modi visited South Korea and got Seoul Peace Prize. Modi visited South Korea and got Seoul Peace Prize. India-South Korea relations are important for exam. India-South Korea. India and South Korea both are elected democracies. India and South Korea both are elected democracies. Both celebrate independence on 15th August. India and South Korea both celebrate independence on 15th August. And India is a big market for South Korean electrical companies, electronics. Most of the Samsung, LG, Hyundai, all these things are South Korean companies. And the trade between India and South Korea is just $20 billion. The trade between India and South Korea is just $20 billion. Now we have to work on more and more potential. India and South Korea, third and fourth largest economies in Asia. India and South Korea, third and fourth largest economies in Asia. And we had CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. We had CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. And now we have a new idea called Korea Plus. Korea Plus. Korean companies, they are facing problems with ease of doing business in India. So we are giving special offers, special concessions, special priority to Korean companies. Korea Plus. We started Korea Plus Dusk from 2015 onwards. Between India and Korea, tourism is always low. Between India and South Korea, tourism is always low. So we have to work new things with Korea, particularly to enrich the business between India and South Korea and good relations between India and South Korea. These are the important current affairs. And most importantly, one thing, Himachal Pradesh government declared monkeys are vermins. Himachal Pradesh government declared monkeys as vermin, V-E-R-M-I-N. What is a vermin? See, any state government can send a recommendation to the request central government to declare particular creature or animal or a bird as vermin because it is causing harm to lives, crops and other livestock or some harmful things in the state. Okay, so Himachal Pradesh had declared monkeys as vermins. Now, so they can kill monkeys. They can kill. So selective slander can be done. Selective killings can be done. Okay, this is what is vermin concept. Okay, done.